you want to take 2 SCVs and scout at the same time as you move out. Usually I do that because, for example, on this map you have 3 paths to your expansion, and he can do a backstab attack in any of those patches. So when I move out, if for example I'm gonna go this way, I move an SCV to this location, and then I move an SCV to this location. So I see that he has his units here just waiting for backstabbing me, and if he doesn't have it, then I just move out. So I do this at the same time as I move out, and that way you're going to be safe from backstabbing because you're going to have information about it in time. And I think that's really important, especially on maps like Blue Storm, where there is an obvious backstab passage where you can where he can run with Zerglings or stuff like that. That's really important because a successful backstab is going to kill you usually, and you never wanna die like that. You're gonna nerd rage. Anyway, let's see here. Yeah, one more thing that I didn't mention in my control is that when I press 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A, I usually use my I think it's called ring finger on 2. No, ring finger on 1. Okay, I'm gonna take it slowly here so I don't make any mistakes. Ring finger on 1, long finger on 2, and then the index finger, the pointing finger, on 3, 4, 5, and upwards. And then I'm gonna use my pinky on A, so it's 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5, like that. And I think this is actually a really good way to control those keys. I mean, if you're used to controlling it in a different way, I really suggest that you actually take time and learn how to control it this way, because it's really good. When I started to control it this way, I got really fast on the 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 4A thing, and it's really good. It's gonna be hard at the beginning, but then it's gonna go really smoothly and really fast, and it's really good to be fast with big units in Terran vs. Zerg, big groups of units. Okay, so well, let's see here. Something more when you move out. Well, usually he's gonna have he will try to delay your attack, because usually the Zerg is taking for hive, so he's gonna delay your push for as long as he can, so he wanna get those defilers out, and then he can cast dark swarm, and you won't be able to kill his hatcheries or his drones. And a way to avoid him being able to stall you like that, you have your tanks in the front line of your army. So if he has burrowed lurkers here, you move in front with the vessels, and then you don't use siege mode with the tanks. You just have them unsieged like this, and they will actually have longer range than the lurkers have, and he will have to unburrow them, and at the same time he unburrows them, usually you can like stim with your marines and try to get some extra shots and stuff like that. But since you're doing this, it's really important that you see that he's going hive, because if he's not going hive, you really have to be a bit more careful when you're pushing out, because that means he's gonna have mass units instead, and you don't want to have your tanks in the front line. So but let's say he's taking for hive. Your tanks are still going to be pretty vulnerable if he decides to actually attack you when you're doing this. So it's really important that you scan. For example, when I move out with my army like this, I scan, for example, here and here, just to see where is his units, how many units does he have, and stuff like that. And if you see that he does have overwhelming units to compare to your units, then you have to be more careful, otherwise you can pressure more. If he's going for a fast hive, you have to pressure a lot like this. If he's going for a slow hive, you really don't have to do anything really fast. Just take them in position, have tanks like in good position, and you just have to like really, not really slow, but slowly push to his expansion or to his natural, because he's gonna have a lot of units, but he's not gonna have any hives, so there's not really any pressure on the time, unless he has like 5 expansions or something like that and has better macro than you. So that's important to think about. But if it goes to filers, then you have time to work against, and you really have to pressure him really fast. In the beginning, when you have vessels and you have irradiate, for example, I usually think it's only important that you irradiate defilers if you have them out. I mean, if you have one vessel with one irradiate possible, you're gonna kill one lurker. That isn't gonna do like a big difference if he flanks you or attacks you or anything like that. It's much better to use the defense matrix usually, and usually I use the defense matrix on my tanks, and the tank being closest to his units I'm going to use defense matrix at. So let's say he attacks with his units here. What I do first is I siege mode my tanks. Then I stim my units like this, and I press 1A, 2A, 3A on a position here, and then I attack here on the ground. And then they're gonna start attack, and I also spread them out like this, so he won't get a lot of Marines, a lot of free kills Marines. So you want to try to spread your units as well, as good as possible, and also surround his lurkers if he has mostly lurkers. If he has zerglings as well, it's gonna be hard to get them into position and surround him. And usually this is just to make him burrow like really far away from your army, and that's really good because then he won't be able to attack your tanks. And then when he's burrowing them, just move back every marine like this, and what you have then is the tanks shooting at the lurkers and the lurkers not shooting at the tanks, and you have to burrow them up again and attack again, and then you can stim and attack with your marines yet again. And this is really what you want when you're microing versus a big army of lings and lurkers, because that's really the best way to do it. And also you will have defense matrix on one tank, and well, hopefully you will own his army. So that's a little bit about that. And reinforcements, of course, when you do any kind of push, if you don't want to kill his expansions, if you really want to kill his natural, then while doing this push, just go back with F3 or something like that to your expansion. Just grab those units and click them attack move. I never use just the move button usually. Just attack move and to the location. And I mean, some of these units are gonna die, and then you can regroup, just as I said before. And if you don't die that much unit, just use this without any hotkeys, because it's really important that you constantly send all those units that you get in your expansion to the macro, to the base here, because he's gonna have reinforcements coming from his base. So you really need reinforcements coming from your base, of course. So that's about the attack, I think. Yeah, that's about the attack. Let's move on to micro. I know this VOD is pretty long, but I think it covers a lot of important stuff for the lesser players. So let's move on to the micro here. For example, yeah, let's keep to the marine micro for a little while. Marines versus versus mutalisks. I'm sorry, I lost myself there. For example, if he comes with me, let's say this is a group of mutalisks, okay, and he moves out here, and he's gonna want to snipe medics or marines like this. He snipes them and move back like this, okay. So what you want to do is you want to stim the marines like that and move towards or behind his mutalisks, actually, like that. The medics are gonna follow automatically, of course. Move behind his mutalisk, and when you are pretty close, click attack and target one mutalisk, and that mutalisk is usually gonna die. And then when he moves back, you target another if you have time, or you move back as well. So this way you will be able to snipe his mutalisk that he's trying to micro. And so he's micro back and forth like this, and you are microing back and forth like this. Okay, so that's really the way to go if you're microing versus mutalisks that are clutched together in a group. And that's really good, because I mean, good players are really good nowadays with microing their mutalisks, and you really have to know how to deal with that. And that has proven to be the most effective strategy, how to micro. Anyway, when you micro versus lurker, there's a whole different thing, of course. You want to have, first of all, you want to have your units spread out like this. And let's say he comes with his lurkers here. You stim and attack, of course, and you take those marines that are closest to the lurkers, because that's going to be the auto attack for the lurkers to hit. And you take those and you keep moving while the other units are at attack mode on the ground here. And you keep moving like this, and his firing will come here and then here and then here, and he will miss your units. So he has to manually micro and attack your marines here. And I mean, if you don't have to move them like really far away here. Usually it's enough that you let's see his lurkers are here. that you attack like this, and you move them up here, and then you attack. Okay, so you will get like a nice spread to surround his lurkers, because then the glance lurkers attack. I don't know what it's called. He's gonna when he's attacking like this, he's not gonna attack more than 2 or 3 marines at the same time, and that's really good. I mean, if you have them clutched together, like 2 hits is gonna kill all your units, and that's not good at all. And if you have a vessel, of course, and sometimes if you don't have tanks, then do the same team attack, and the marine that is being closest to the lurkers, you can do a defense matrix and just keep running with him, because he will draw the fire. He's closest to the lurkers, and you have the rest of your units like this surrounding his lurkers here, and then you have this marine like in the middle of the lurkers or on the other side of the lurkers, and he will draw all the fire, and the marines will be able to kill the lurkers, and that is really, really good. Good players will try to micro their lurkers and attack the marines in this location, but it's much harder for the Zerg to actually play good while still doing this. And also, one more thing about that is, I don't have time actually to go to the ramp and do this, but let's say he has 1 lurker or 2 lurkers here on the ramp. Then you stim your marines and let the medics heal, and then you run up and you take 1 or 2 marines and run past the lurkers, and you take your vessel and do defense matrix on 1 lurker. I mean, not on 1 lurker, that's not very good. You do defense matrix on 1 marine, and you have him on the other side. Have him run past the lurkers and keep him on the other side of the lurkers, and the lurkers will hopefully attack that marine, and then you won't get slaughtered on the ramp. That's a really good thing to think about, because 2 lurkers on the ramp is really gonna hurt you otherwise. So let's see here, micro marines, lurker. Okay, micro marines versus zerglings. Well, usually if you have like a lot of marines, you don't have to micro them versus zerglings, because they're just gonna slay the zerglings anyway. But let's say you have like a few marines and a few medics versus a pretty large group of zerglings. What you want to do is you stim the marines and attack, of course. And his zerglings are going to try to surround you, and when they are surrounding you, you take the closest marines and you move them backwards and then attack from there, and then you take these marines, move them backwards and attack from there, then you take these marines, go backward and attack from there, like that. So his zerglings is going to have to choose new targets, and that's really good, because then your medics will be able to heal the old marines and stuff like that. Also, if you have a fire bat along with the marines, it's really important that you control that fire bat. You can really skip controlling the marines at that time if you think it's just too much to control, and just control the fire bat. I mean, even if you have to like run around the medics, keep him close to the medics and keep him in a position where it's hard for him to be actually surrounded by zerglings, and that way he's going to be able to kill a lot of zerglings. Also, when moving out with a small group, be sure not to have them like spread it out like this when you move out, because then he can surround you or kill off stray units with zerglings. Make sure they are in a group here, and if some units are actually stray like in front, just move them backwards a little bit, and then again move away. That's really good, because you want to have your units clutched together when you're facing like lurkers or mutalisks or zerglings or whatever. Anyway, I'm gonna talk a little bit about SCV macro here. So I'm just gonna macro up some SCVs here. Like can also show you a decent SCV ratio. I don't know how to pronounce that actually. Let's see here. If I get a decent ratio here, I think a little bit more. Oh, the gathering. I thought that was the sheet for. No. Okay. There we have that sheet. Okay. Let's see something like this. Maybe these 3 as well. This is a pretty good ratio of SCVs at the mining position. If you have this ratio, usually you don't have to make any more SCVs if you're gonna stay on those bases. And then 3 and sometimes 4 SCVs on the refinery is good. So anyway, if he comes with his zerglings here, or I mean Terran versus Protoss, a river drop, mutalisks or whatever, if you have to move away with all the SCVs, the thing I do is I just grab them like this, press F2, so I get back to my main, and press on the mineral, and they will move to the main as fast as possible. And you have to do this two times usually to get all the workers, but it's the fastest way. I just do like this. There. I don't know why I set my new hotkey here. I have F2 here and F3 here. Anyway, okay. So I grab the SCVs, F2, go back by F3, grab the SCVs and F2, and usually it will cover all the SCVs. So just F3, F2, F3, F2, and it's all good. Okay. So let's see here. I lost myself a little bit here. Okay. Also, one thing to know is when you control your SCVs and you click on a mineral patch, they will they will actually stack together. I will show it like this. Okay, let's show it here instead. For example, like this, they will be stacked, and then if you press stop, they will unstack like this and block in a very good way. And also they will be able to attack much faster than if you don't have them stacked from the beginning. And for example, if he has his Zerglings coming like this, you just move all your SCVs to the ramp and you press stop here, and they will do like this. And then you can press here again and attack, stop, here again and attack, and just try to fuck up the unit's movements, so the Zerglings won't be able to get up the ramp and won't be able to attack the SCVs. And that's basically all you have to think about when controlling SCVs, I think. Now let's talk a little bit about the SCV scout. When you scout the opponent at the beginning with your SCV, usually what you want to do, let's say this is his base, okay? You want to run around all his base to find out if he does 2-hatch or 3-hatch or whatever tech he does, and you don't want to get caught by Zerglings. So usually you can run around his mineral lines, or you can just run around his base. And if you think that you're gonna get caught at any moment, just go back F2 and click on your mineral line in your main, and he will go through the Zerglings and he will not die. And that's really good. And also if you're gonna go through his mineral line, through his drones, use the mineral patches at his main as well, just to be able to float through the units, because then the Zerglings cannot do this and they will be stopped by the drones or whatever. And it's a really good thing to do when you're scouting. Let's see here. Okay, I have talked a little bit about tanks and marines. It was the one I talked about over here. And also a little bit about the matrix. And let's see here. If you're gonna, for example, use what is it called? Irradiate, for example. I have a group of vessels. Usually they're clutched together like this, and I move like that, and I try to split them up a little bit, because then it's much easier to control them. And then usually I just do like this. I press one like that, one like that, and one like that. But also, if you have actually vision, like if you use a scan and you see his units before you actually get there, you can move your units like this, and you press 1 there, 2 there, and 3 there. So and that way they will actually cast the irradiate really fast, instead of you having to micro them. You can micro them before they actually get to the position, and they will be able to use irradiate, and then you can move back before he can scourge them or anything like that. So what I do is I have my vessels here. I click on one vessel, like the furthest to the right there, then I click T, and then I click 5 again to have my vessels, because my vessels are on control 5, and I click on this on the other one. And what's important to know here is you have to remember which one you have clicked. Okay, and some of them might not have energy, so you just press 5 and then go to the next one. So it's like that, T, that, T, that, T. Okay, that is how you micro usually with the vessels. And sometimes you also want to do like an eraser, I think it's called, when you have irradiates on both vessels versus drones or Zerglings or anything like that. You press one vessel and press the other vessel, and you just, well, that's pretty basic. You move them together, and you can press patrol, and they will go over his mineral line, or you can just stack them and go manually over his drones. So that's one tip about microing with the vessels. And let's move on to the more fun things. Yeah, well, marines is fun, and most of this is fun, but vultures and wraiths are really fun. So I'm gonna show you here. For example, okay, my computer is starting to lag a little bit here. I hope it will get better soon, or else I have to cut this into 2 parts, this VOD. Anyway, when you have Zerglings chasing your vulture, it's really important that you move away from the Zerglings so they won't be able to hit you, because your vulture is faster than the Zerglings and faster than the drones. So if he's chasing you, let's say this is a Zergling, he's chasing you, you go away from him like that, okay? And uh, at the same time as you're moving away from him, press P as in patrol, okay? And click behind your vulture like that, and then move away from the Zerglings again. And you can do this actually really fast, like this, okay? I go here, I click patrol, and do like this. Okay, and then I go back, and he will actually fire a shot, and then just keep moving away from the Zergling. And you can do it really fast, and he won't even turn around like that. Well, he will turn around, but he won't really actually stop moving forward. And that's really good when facing Zerglings. So let's say I have a couple of Zerglings here. I just do like this. And just be sure to have a decent timing window between each shot, because he can fire really fast, and if you do it before he can shoot his second shot, he won't shoot anything. So just wait a couple of seconds before you do it a second time. Anyway, that's how you micro vultures. And also, I mean, if you're chasing the Zerglings instead of just instead of being chased by the Zerglings, just click move towards the Zerglings like this, and press P or attack like this on the ground, and keep moving like this. Exactly after you press P and click on the ground, just keep moving. So it's gonna be something like this: click, 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 P, click, 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 click. Okay, so that way you're gonna fire a shot and still move towards the Zerglings, and this way you're gonna be able to snipe all the Zerglings usually before they get to where they want to go. And that's really good, because then they're gonna go to hell, and that's where they belong. Anyway, let's move on to the Wraiths. Wraiths are pretty much controlled like Mutalisks. You want to have one SCV in the group, and the SCV you usually want to have a bit far away from the Wraiths, or else they won't clutch together. For example, it's really good to have a wall or some Marines blocking the ramp, so the SCV will move around here in your base without being able to get on the map. But right now I cannot. I don't have time to do that. I don't want to do that now, so I'll just show you here. Okay, as you can see here, they will clutch together like this, and that's really good. So let's say you want to harass his drones or something like that. He's gonna have his drones here in the expansion, and you're gonna use the cliff here to keep him from getting any kind of vision. Um, and then usually when I attack a drone, I press on the ground, and then I press on the mineral, and then I press on a drone. I don't use attack button, I just use the move button on a drone. So I do it like this. Okay, on the ground, on the mineral, attack, and then back. On the ground, on the mineral, attack, and then back. I don't actually know why I do on the mineral first, but I have found it to be better somehow. I don't know if it's mentally or if it's actually better, but I've seen a lot of people do it, and I do it all the time, and I think it's really good. You actually get into the correct angle where the drone is mining, so they will fire without having to turn around or anything like that, and that's really good. So what you do is like this: click, click, and be sure to move back a little bit before they have fired their shot, because it's a little bit lag on Battle.net, and you have to take account of that as well. So that's how to micro them versus, for example, drones, but also other ground units, of course. And when another important thing to micro against is scourges, because he's gonna try to kill your wraith, usually with scourges. And you run away from the scourges, like just move away from the scourges, and then press P right in front of the vessels, no, on the wraiths, and they will fire instantly on the closest scourge, and then keep moving away with the moving button, exactly like you control the vultures. So it's gonna be like this: move, 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 and then P, and then move, 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 move. Okay, and be sure to do it really fast, but slow enough to actually let them fire. And when you press P, you press right in front of your group, and they will turn around and fire as soon as possible. So that's a little bit about how to micro wraiths, and I think I have covered most things. There is still one thing to cover, and that is how to place mines properly with vultures. So I'm gonna do the mine and the speed upgrade here. Okay, what you usually have is like a lot of vultures, especially versus Protoss, but you can have it versus Zerg as well. And if I go to a location, they won't all lay mines. Of course, now they will probably do that because I'm recording and because it's single player and there's no lag. And in single player, they actually lay mines a lot easier. So if I do like this, you can see every vulture lay a mine. But on Battle.net, this isn't gonna happen. At least not when you have like 5 or more vultures usually. So what you want to do is you want to press the lay mines, then take 2 or 3 more, lay mines on another place, and 2 and 3 more, and lay mines on another place. So you want to do it like this. Okay. Okay. So it's pretty hard to do it if you haven't done it before, but I really suggest that you practice that. So I'm gonna do it one more time like this. And you see everyone lay mine, and this will happen as well when you're playing multiplayer. So that's about how to macro. Let's see here. Yeah, that's micro. Let's go on to macro before this gets too long here. Macro early game, I use control keys, of course. That's the best thing. As I told you before, I have 2 on my command center, 3 on my command center, 4 and 5 on my barracks usually in the beginning. And then while macroing, I can just play 2S, 3S, 4M, 5M, and I will have a macro round going. But in the late game, I just go back to the macro mode uh, with the F4 button, and I macro really fast, and then I go back to my main army by double clicking on a hotkey where I have my units like this, and I will get back to the to the fight. And this you really have to do as fast as possible. And for example, if he's charging you with the lurkers, it's not a good time to go back and macro. Split your units first, attack him, watch the battle like just a little bit to see the start of the battle, and if you see you're gonna own this battle really badly, really easy, then you can go back and you can macro. But if you see you're gonna get owned, then it's better to stay in the fight a little bit longer and move and micro your units, move them back. For example, if you're gonna macro around his units, then you have to stay in the fight for a bit. But if you just click them and move backwards, like I showed here in the big fight, you have your units here and you move them backwards, and then press hold position or something like that here. Then you can go back and macro really fast and then go back again here, because he will have to move towards your units once again and unburrow his lurkers and burrow them again before he can do damage, and that will give you time to actually macro. And rally points I have covered, late game, early game macro I have covered. Let's talk a little bit about over minerals. Well, over minerals is really much easier to handle as well, I think it's easier to handle as a Protoss and as a Zerg. I mean, Zerg has this ridiculous ease mode. I mean, in late game when they have Ultralisk tech. I mean, come on, they have 2,000 minerals, 2,000 gas because they have been slacking on their macro or something like that, and then they press like S and then U 2 times, and they have like spent all the minerals on Ultralisks, and that is like that's unfair. So what you can do with the to keep up with the macro, because sometimes, I mean, if you have like 14 barracks, it's really hard to just keep macroing 1 marine out of each barrack. So if I get my money piled up like 55,000 minerals here, then I go back and I just do like this. I press like this: C C C C F F F F Okay, so this will actually make you constantly produce units, and you can micro a lot in the late game and still get units. I mean, of course, it's better to have like 1 marine producing at the same time also, and instead of having a lot of units queued up, you add more barracks. Mostly it's better. But I mean, sometimes you just have to face it that you're gonna do an attack that you're gonna have to micro really hard, and then you want to have units producing, and then you can use the queue option, and that's really good. Also, what you can do in the late game versus Zerg, as many pro gamers and a lot of other good gamers has been using a lot lately, is the battle cruisers. It's actually pretty good when you have over minerals in the late game. You can just make 2 battle cruisers like that, and you will have spent almost 1,000 minerals. And that makes a little bit up for the ease mode I think that Zerg has in the late game if they get, to ultra tech on a lot of bases. So try to do that as well. And I mean, battle cruisers, they are really good. At the same time, as you start making battle cruisers, you should really upgrade the restoration spell of medics, because that spell takes away the plague curse on the battle cruisers if he has defilers, and that's really good actually to have. It doesn't cost that much, and the medics can usually cast a couple of restorations each, so that's really good. And I mean, battle cruisers you can have to do many things. You can just have them roaming the map and attacking drones and expansions, or you can have them with your main army, in front of your main army, drawing all the fire, and you can do a lot more damage and survive a lot longer with an army. I mean, let's say you have one battle cruiser defense matrix in front of your army here, and he's attacking you with hydralisk lurkers and surgeons and stuff like that. I mean, this one is gonna draw all the hydralisk damage, and he's not gonna die in the first place. So that's really good. Let's see here. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers the macro. And I will go on to some general tips that I didn't have time. I mean, that I didn't know where to put in what section. And that is, for example, let's say you get dropped, and let's say, for example, your main is up here. Okay, your command center is up here, and the mineral line is here. And then you have your macro mode area here, and you have your ramp here. So what your units, when you go back into your main with your units this way, they're gonna have to go around the macro mode, and that will take time, and that will split up your units in a way maybe you don't want to have them split like that versus lurkers, for example. So a good thing to do when you get dropped like that is actually, if you're not making any units, or also if you have started making units, cancel those units and lift all the buildings like that, and then you have this big space to micro on versus lurkers, and you can go in, kill them, go back, and then land your buildings again. Okay, and what's very important to understand when you do this is that when you have done this, you have to set new rally points with all the buildings. But I mean, just do it the way I told you, and it won't take really that long time. See, okay, that is done. So that's really how to defend versus a drop. I think that's pretty important to think about. Um, let's see here if there's anything else. Yeah, a little bit just about scouting. I have mentioned it in my earlier VODs. For example, if you take an SV here and scout on 11, for example, usually you can watch replays or watch Zerg players play, and you will see what kind of movements their initial overlords will have. For example, if the Zerg is starting at this location, he will either send his overlord to this location here or to this location here to scout. And I mean, if you move your marine here, his overlord will actually have come to this place, and you will be able to see it, and then you will understand that he starts at this location. But if it's not here, when you get to this place, I suggest that you turn around, you go this way instead. You will lose just a couple of seconds because he can very well be here and have sent his overlord to this place. But I mean, it actually gives you a little better percentage to find him on the first or the second try. And if you move here, then you can find his overlord here sometimes, and then you know he's going to be at this place, and you're going to be safe from 4 pool or 9 pool. And I mean, if you don't find it at this location, then he's usually going to be at this location if you haven't found his overlord at this location. So I mean, of course, sometimes you're going to find him on the last try as well, but this increases your chance to find him on the first or the second try, and I suggest that you actually do it in every game on 4-player maps. And also 3-player maps, because you're gonna know his overlord movements. Search for the overlord, and then you're gonna know where he started. So that's a really good way to scout. I'm gonna talk a little bit about scanning. I mean, you have 200 energy with scan, and you really want to use that. Of course, you want to have like 50 or 100 energy, because you're gonna have to scan sometimes in battles if your vessel dies or anything like that. But it's always important to keep going to his main, scan, see his hive upgrade, go to his macro mode area or whatever if he has something like that, see how many hatcheries he has, if he's building, what he's building and stuff like that. Keep scanning his main, and also keep scanning for expansions, as well as sending stray SCVs to expansions now and then in late game, just to see if he's taking an expansion, and also use the scans to scan where his army is. So there's a lot of things that you want to do with these scans. But let's say you have 3 bases, 3 scans. You're going to be able to scan a lot, and it's really going to be useful because that's like an auto map hack or something like that. So I mean, the protos have observers and they have overlords. I mean, we have to have something. So we have scans and stim packs. That's pretty good. Anyway, um, let's see here. What else I can talk about? I lost myself here. Yeah, well, versus lurker opening. If he starts with a lurker opening, usually you don't want to stay in your base. Usually you want to move out with the initial like 11 marines, 1 firebat, and 3 medics, and stand right outside his base to be able to stall him from getting to your base. Or you can stay at your base while waiting for your tech, but then you have to add 2 or 3 bunkers usually if he starts with a lurker tech to be safe. And also beware to place a turret or a bunker and scan if he has overlord speed or something like that, because he's going to be able to do a drop or something like that, and that's going to hurt you if you don't have many tanks or if if you aren't prepared for it. Um, and also, one thing you should think about when he does a 2 hatch build. I mean, even if you get there to his base with an SCV and you see um, the Hydralisk, then he can very well have made a Spire as well, because some Zergs are trying to fool you. So even if he does a 2 hatcher build, I usually suggest that you use your first 2 scans. You get your scan earlier, of course, versus 2 hatch, and use them on each hatchery as well, so you can see if he has larvas piled up for Mutalisks, or if he has made double tech or anything like that. And that way you will not be surprised when he is attacking you, because you really don't need scan here when he is moving out anyway. You just stim, target the lurker, and then move back, and you kill 1 lurker or 2 lurkers, and then you move back. You don't really want to fight the troop anyway and surround it and kill it usually. Um, and also, I mean, if you use double scan and you see that he went like a 2 hatchery lurker build, then just take 1 SV and make a turret at the place where you think he's going to attack, and you will have vision there until you get more scan anyway. So it's really good to use those 2 scans anyway, because for example, if you look at the game Lera versus I'm gonna spoil here. If you look at the game Lera versus Luxury on an MSL, the last game I think it was, he actually just scouted his lurker and then he didn't use any scan and he was totally raped, and that was really bad decision from him, I think. So be sure to do that. Let's see here. Ratio on medics and marines. I think usually if you have 6 barracks, you can usually make marines out of 5 and medics out of 1, and you will have a pretty decent ratio. Sometimes in late game you're gonna want to make like from one of them you're gonna make medics, one of them firebats, and 4 of them medics. And I mean, if you have the double amount of barracks, just use the double ratio. So that's a pretty good ratio. Um, I usually do that, and that works for me. Sometimes, if you die all your marines but not your medics, of course, just make more marines and firebats, and you don't need to have new medics if you have a lot of medics already. Um, let's see if there is anything I can cover. Yeah, one more thing that is really important actually is at the very beginning of the game, when you have time to do some things, I set the F2, F4, and F3 buttons already usually to have them later in the game when I might not have time to set them. And also I press Shift and Tab 1 time when I started Brood War, because then on the minimap the opponent will be red instead of his actual color, and red is really really easy to spot on the minimap, and it makes it a lot easier for you to detect any sort of attack or scout or anything like that. And if you press Shift and Tab another time, his units will be red as well in the big screen and not only on the minimap, and you will get green. But usually, I mean teal. But I hate teal and I hate brown. So if I get teal, I mean if I get red or if I'm red or something like that, I just press Shift Tab once, and that's really what matters, because on the big screen you're gonna see his units anyway. It's just on the minimap you have to have him red, and to be able to scout him. I mean to notice him all over the map at all times. Really easy. Um, Yeah, well, I think this is all. I have tried to cover a lot of things in this VOD, and I hope that you find some of it useful. Most of you might find a lot of these things very, obvious and stuff like that. But I think there are a lot of people that can actually have help from all these things, and some of them maybe didn't think about some of these things. And well, I think it's a good thing. Um, the next one I'm gonna do is about turn versus pros, but it's gonna take a little while, I think, because I'm really tired right now, and this was quite a big project for me. Um, so I mean, if there's something that you missed, just go back and listen to it again. And if there's something that I've missed, then just post in the thread, and I will try to answer it as good as I can. I know I haven't covered a lot of mech things here versus Zerg, but I will do that in another VOD or answer questions in the thread, because I think the VOD shouldn't be longer than this. I don't know how long it is right now, but it's gonna take quite some time to upload. So I wish you good luck and have fun on the new ICOP season, and I will do some more VODs shortly soon. And well, I don't know what, but I hope you like them. And well, good luck, have fun. So see you later. Ciao.